There we go. Welcome to our Platinum training session on graphs and filters. And we're going to go over everything that you see in those two functions, okay? And, a lot of people don't use the graphs when they're going out to presentations. And I would suggest that you definitely do that because, oops, I want to just see if anyone else joins. Let me just pull this over here. I'm going to use the example that one of the agents called me on one day, and she said she had two listing presentations in the same day. She says the morning one, she took all the graphs to, she took a great package, she got the listing. The afternoon one, she said she knew who her competition was, and she got spooked because she said this guy gets all the listings in that neighborhood. So she didn't take the package of graphs. But when she got back to her office, she said she really kicked herself for rolling over and letting this guy take this listing. But so what she did is she exported all the graphs and emailed them to the client. Well, he called her up and gave her the listing. So she phoned me and she said it was just like Christmas. She said, I can't believe I got this away from him. And it really was because of the graphs. So I think it's, important that you guys realize that, going out to either a seller or a buyer meeting, you want to go out there and show these people you're informed about what they're selling or wanting to buy. So we're going to start with a listing presentation or a seller meet. And really all your information is coming out of your filters here, okay? So when you're doing a listing presentation, you're going to start with your city. Makes the most sense. If you started with postal code or zip code, it would give you every postal code or zip code that reports out of whatever board you have. So it's a monster. So you want to really start with the city. So we're going to call up the city list. It comes up alphabetically, but always if you click on this word units in the heading, you're going to move your busiest ones to the top because most of you guys are working out of the busiest agents, cities. So we're going to pretend here, we're going to use Toronto as an example. You have a listing presentation in whatever city, so you're going to click on the city you have. A box will pop up and say, add it to the search. Yes, that's what you want to do. Now, if you've hit the wrong city, you can just say, oops, clear. I didn't mean to add Toronto. I wanted to do Mississauga or wherever else. So you click on your city, you add it to your search. It will now go up into what we call a criteria box, and you'll see it right here. So criteria box, City of Toronto, right there. Now you're going to go in and you're going to put in your zip code or your postal code, okay? So you're going to click on that. And you're going to choose whatever postal code it is of the property. And we're going to just choose M5V here for fun. Then you carry on through your filters and just simply keep going and adding everything you know about that potential listing. So if the type of the property. So in this case, predominant number unit there is a condo. So that's what we're going to choose. Now, if it was a detached home, you could choose the style, which would be bungalow or whatever. Most condos don't have a style. They're a bedroom or a bathroom size. So if it's a detached property, style will give you things like bungalow, 2-story, 3-story, so on. So in this case, because it's a condo, we're simply going to go straight to the incidentals, the bedrooms and the washrooms. So in Toronto, our most popular unit is a 1-bedroom condo. So that's what we're going to add to the search. And we're going to do our washrooms next. And when you're choosing those items, you can see what the most popular is because it's the number 1 unit. But when you see over here, it'll tell you it's the number 1 sold unit. It's number 1 in volume, 2 in days on market. The fastest one to sell is a 3-bedroom condo, apparently here in Toronto, and so on. Okay. So we're going to choose the washrooms 1. So now everything you've entered is now up in your criteria box. So you're going to a listing presentation, someone's selling their Toronto condo, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom in M5V postal code. So now that you have the info in there, you want to go in there and show that client, hey, I know everything it's going to take to sell this condo. You will immediately go to your graphs and click on your very first item there, your average days on market. And what this shows you is basically you're going to be able to see, the high, the longest time it took to sell that home was 24 days. January. December, January in most markets are the worst months, notoriously, or the longest months to sell. The average, or the low, was 11 days. That looks like it was in March. So the average is about 16 days. And we can look and see, April and May were 13, so it's looking even better. And last June was about 14. So you're really able to tell those folks, I should be able to sell your condo within a couple of weeks. No problem. Scrolling through the next graph. Are we going to get 100% of asking? In May, absolutely, they were getting 103. April, 103.39. So looking pretty good. And you can see down here, it looks like they're getting well over 100% in almost every month. So that tells your client that, hey, we might not, if someone makes us a lowball offer, we don't have to take it. We know that these condos are getting 103%. So we don't even have to take a 100% offer, or we can, price it over, whatever we thought 100% offer would be, and don't take anything less than 103 on it. Next graph will show you what percentage of those homes did get 100%. So pretty good. Over half of them. And some months even better. The next one's going to show you how many units sold. So of the 119 condos that sold in May, over half of them got 100% of asking. So it looks pretty good. The average price graph has a really interesting function. It's built-in return on investment, okay? And you can see it up here, ROI, show it or hide it, okay? So at the moment, whoops, I just hit it and I didn't mean to. So we're going to show it again. What the return on investment shows you is that had somebody bought this home last June, or this condo last June, when the average price was $486,311, and sold it just a year later, they'd made 14% on that return, on that investment. And you can see that it's just basically gone up, 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 up. So if it's a negative, okay, a positive is great. You want to sell your show your sellers that. You want to show your buyers that. You want to put that in a buyer package, because especially condos, and in some markets, Florida and areas like that, California, where people might be buying stuff to rent it out and then turn around and sell it in a year, they want to know if they're going to make their money back. So if it's a negative, with sellers, I've heard agents say a couple of things. Some agents want to tell sellers everything, whether it's a bad investment or not. Some sellers want to show, want to hide that from their seller, or some agents want to hide it from their seller and use that in your back pocket in case something does go wrong. So that if the house doesn't sell in the, 12 days you said it would, and it's going on 20 and 30 and they're calling you down, then you can pull that out of your pocket and go, oof, I just did a return on investment in your home. It's not looking good. That's likely why we haven't had open house action, why we haven't had offers, and now why we have to do a price reduction. So a negative is sometimes your tool. Hide it, tuck it in your pocket. A negative you definitely don't want to show buyers, okay? So with if something is a negative, you can generally go back into the graphs over several years. So we want to take a look at a 2-year, not overlaps, but straight out 2 and 3. And so let's see, with buyers, if we can get a better return showing them a longer sell. So right there. So with a buyer package, you might want to include both the 1-year and the 2-year graph to show them, hey, 1 year you're not going to lose any money. Hanging on to this, and really it's just a year and a half, because you can see we're really just at the halfway mark here. Within a year and a half, you're looking at a 31% return on that condo. So a lot of buyers are basing whether or not they buy something on whether or not they're going to make a profit when they sell it. Or in a situation, I was faced with, I had moved to California and married someone, and we bought a lovely home, and within 5 years, unfortunately, he passed away suddenly. And I didn't know what to do, was, losing my mind, and I ended up losing my home. So, what I wanted to know was, how, and a lot of people want to know that. If something happens within the next year and I have to get out from under this home, am I going to make money or am I going to lose money? So that return on investment is a really useful tool no matter whether it's a negative or a positive, okay? So moving on here. Next one is how many units sold and what their average price was. Okay. And we should be back to the days on market. Now I'm going to go back into a 1 year. The other thing you can do with these graphs, and I love this, you can go into this print setup up here and actually tailor your graph. So it doesn't need to have this heading. These folks live in this condo. I'm sure they know what they're selling. So you can actually customize this. So you change your dot to the custom and it says, oh, you're changing the custom. You say, yeah, okay, I know that. Now you can make it specific to your seller. Prepared for Mr. and Mrs. Smith at 178 Lovely Lane, unit number 459. The footer is where you can brag about yourself. If you have an awesome success rate, if you're selling homes, 50% faster than an average agent or for more money or whatever it is, that's where you can brag about yourself. So you can type that info in there to sell your home 50% faster and for $2,000 more than an average agent. Call Bill Watson and put your phone number and save that. Now your graphs are specific to your sellers. So every package, this is all about your home, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, all about your condo. And when you print them up, your tagline will basically print right at the bottom of this graph. So before this little chart, you'll see your tagline right in there on every single one of those graphs. So that after you've gone, they're pulling that package apart, showing their family, friends, everybody's seeing what your strengths are and saying, hey, look at this. She can sell your home 50% faster. Hire this woman. So it really helps, capitalize on your success rate every month, every time you're going out there. So I'm going to go in here and take this back to the default. So that's your filters and using the graphs for seller, buyer. With buyers for sure. So if you're buying something for someone, this is what they're looking and they want you to buy this, you're able to tell them, are we going to have to put out 100% offer? And, sometimes when you're looking at a market and it says, the sold to ask ratio's, 93.5, well, that tells your buyer right there, you don't have to make 100% offer because they're not going to get it, So you're able to, guide your buyer into what you're going to, what kind of a price you're going to put forward to the seller based on what the sold to ask ratio actually is for that particular item. So graphs work for sellers or buyers. It just really shows that you're informed. And there's lots of agents out there, and you know as well as I do, that they're going to go in and blow smoke and say, oh, I can sell your house in a week and we're going to get way over asking. And then you come in with real solid proof. And I think sellers and buyers know the difference between an educated agent and someone who's not. Okay. So that's your listing, buying, all working with filters and graphs. I'm going to clear this because there's a couple of other things in filters that I want to talk about. There's actually another couple of graphs too, and that's that's the convergence analytics. That one allows you to put 4 things on a graph at once, or 3 things, sorry. So you can actually do your days on market, your sold to ask ratio, and your sale price, which will allow you to kind of see sometimes when it's a better time to sell something, because you want your average days on market to be low, right? So June was good. Days on market in Toronto were low. You want your sold to ask ratio to be high and your average sale price to be high. So June 2017 was an awesome time to sell something. And you can often, advise your clients based on that, when is an optimum time to sell, rather than, if they were going to list it in, March, you could say, well, geez, the prices are down. It's better us to wait till June. So the convergence analytics really allows you to analyze a few things at once. Okay. And the other graph under there, pricing it right. This really is a sort of a guide to, where you might want to do a price reduction. And again, you're going to filter your information based on what you're selling and the average price that you're, the price that you're actually listing it at. And when you hit calculate, it just kind of gives you an idea of what happened with that home in the last 12 months. So whether you start off pricing it over 100% and then each time, it shows you kind of what is a sort of an optimum price reduction. It's by no means, gospel, but it really does give you sometimes an indication based on whatever it is that you've filtered out, a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in Timbuktu, what you should be doing as far as pricing it. So let's clear all that off the screen. And we're going to talk about the last thing in filters that a lot of people don't even know is there. and that is our analytics. Okay, so analytics for this filter are beside anywhere in your drop-down filter that you see this little box with an A is sort of an instant analytics. And so we're going to do a city. I'm going to call up the city list, and I'm going to put the busiest cities to the top. And the analytics tool is right here, okay? So when we click on this, this is going to tell us about each individual city or zip code or whatever you've looked at. And what it does, it basically allows you to actually see, what areas are up and down. So sometimes clients are, empty nesters that say want to move out of expensive Toronto because the average sale price is, near $1 million now. And they say, it doesn't matter where we go, because all their kids are gone, they've moved out, they've got families of their own, and it's time for us to kind of, spend our money more wisely. We want to sell our big house in Toronto, and we want to find a place where the prices are going down. So you can look at, a place like Clarington, okay? The average sale price there dropped by 7%. So they can spend their money getting out from their big Toronto house much wiser in a place where it's a little bit less expensive. And you can look at this data from, 1 month out. So this is from last month to this. So what it's showing here is Toronto. The number of sales went up by 8% from last month to this. Obviously, the volume goes up. And the average sale price is down slightly, not a lot. And the sold to ask ratio is down by 0.1%. So it really shows you everything that's going on in any market. And again, you can do it from last month out, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right up to a year ago to this year. So it's right there under anything that has a box with an A, and you can see what's going on as far as the market itself. What's up, what's down, and where's a good area to maybe send, a buyer who's, as I said, if they're, looking to maybe live in Orillia, well, okay, Orillia's prices went up by 27%, but Ramara's right next door, prices went down by 68%. So, hey, if you don't need to live right in Orillia, or if you work in Orillia, Ramara's a, quick jaunt to Orillia, and so on. So, lots of information in there under analytics. And that's kind of it. Graphs and filters. And really, I suggest really getting used to using those graphs every time. And I know some of your Platinum members that are, doing a whole lot of volume that still use them every time they go out. And I don't want to name names, but they're some of your top guys. So I would say get used to doing that package. And now if you're busy, and I hear this a lot, oh, well, I'm really busy and I don't have time to do this. Any one of your Platinum programs, you can license an assistant for $499. That would give them the whole program, their own login, and they're the ones that can do the packages and things for you. So if you've got an admin who's, doing stuff in the office and you go, okay, you give them a call and you're on the road, hey, I got a listing presentation, do up that package for me, I'm going to pick it up. They can do that and you're off on the races. So, they're off to the races, sorry. So get used to doing them. They absolutely work. And I'm going to go back here now, and I'm going to open the mics for questions. If I remember how to do that, let's see. Unmute everyone.
Everyone else is now unmuted.
There we go.
I turned on the wrong thing. Can you turn that one off and turn the one on the far right to high, please?
So anybody with any questions? Okay, come on, you guys. Nobody had questions last week. What do you have? I'm just too good at this, so you don't have any questions?
I've got a question
All
for you,
right.
Esther. With your deep knowledge on this program and on this topic, what would you ask you if you were me?
Well, like I said, I think I really covered it, so I think that's the problem. I really do make things thorough. So, I just think some people have questions sometimes about, really how do I print these or how do I export them? That's something I didn't talk about is exporting. So let's click on one of these graphs and talk about exporting these. As I gave that example of the agent who got back to her office, exported them and emailed them to the client. When you're exporting, okay, so if you're using a style of graph, and you can see the styles here under chart, I like to use this one because I find it really clear and concise and I like how it looks. But if you're sending these to a client, they can't scroll over this page to see the numbers. So, if you're showing them on a screen, they're going to see this chart. If you're printing them up, the chart will print. But if you're exporting them to email, you have to use the graph that says line number. That will print the graph the numbers right on the graph, because exporting and emailing will not pick up this chart. So when you export it, it's going to ask you where you want to save it. Okay, I'm going to save it on my desktop. Beautiful. There you go. It acts as a PNG. It looks like a JPEG, basically.
Just say we're going to do the same colors.
Yeah, and then you basically can pick it up as an attachment and email it to your client if you want to email stuff. Okay?
Esther?
Yes?
Esther?
Mm-hmm.
Esther? Please forgive me because I joined late, so if you covered this, I apologize. But if you go to filter by, can you just go there for a moment? So if you go to filter by, and let's just say you put in let's say you put in Vaughn, just to say an example, okay. and then you go to community, and then okay, so I'll wait for you there.
Yep, some Vaughn's in there.
So you go to community and just hit any community you want there.
So we'll choose Patterson.
So once you add that to the search, once you add Patterson to the search, can you go back and add the Lower Village to the search?
You can do it at the same time. So let's go into this search, and I'll wipe that out, and I'll show you. Oops, not Vaughan. Okay. We're going to wipe out Patterson. Okay. That's the other thing, you guys. Anytime you're entering anything into this criteria box, this is where it ends up in this search. So you can actually save your searches, and let's talk about that. Okay, so let's finish this. So what you're asking, can you choose more than one community? Absolutely. You just click, 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 then add them. Yeah, so you just continue to click.
And what about... Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead. I have another question after you're done.
Go ahead.
What about, for instance, let's say, so I just hit all these communities, let's say, and now I say, oh, rats, I should have added this other community. So how do I go about doing that?
Okay, so if you said, okay, I added Mimico to the search, but oh shoot, I should have, clicked on Hurontario. Everything you add to your search, as I said, goes up in here. So all you'd have to do is go to there, put a plus sign, plus Hurontario. Finished?
I see. Okay.
Wait, where's the plus sign?
You just add that plus sign yourself. So when you go in there, it shows you below here. Yeah, so here's the operators on how to enter stuff. So just adding another search, you just put a plus sign right between the two. Okay.
I'm not following where this plus sign goes.
Do you see the screen right here?
I do.
Right.
I do.
So that he was saying, if I added Mimico and then I realized, oh shoot, I wanted to add another community, you just pop open this search box and you're just going to put a plus sign and type in that community you wanted to add. So you can type into these boxes at any time. Yeah, so just by clicking your cursor in, okay?
A little calculatory thing.
So now I'm going to just do that quick listing presentation again and show you guys how you can save your searches and how you can pull them up again on a presentation. So we're just going to do a quick random. Okay, so we're just going to do city. And I'm just going to choose. Come on now. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do Toronto. Okay, so Toronto, we have a listing presentation. And we're entering our items here. Toronto, the postal code, M2N. Type your property. Oh, we'll do condo again. Why not? And we're going to do our bedrooms and washrooms. All right, so we've got all the info there, okay? So as I said, everything that you enter, you can save, and you'll see it in this search right here. So everything we just entered, Toronto, condo, 1 washroom, 1 bedroom in M2N. We can now save this, and you would save it likely, you know, by the property name or the, you know, whoever it is. So we're just going to put Mrs. Oddball. And we're going to save it. Okay, so now where this saves is below these operators, and you can save as many searches as you want. And you can see the one we just saved, Mrs. Oddball, right there. Okay, so now we're going to go up here and we're going to clear this off the screen. We're going to clear our search completely. And this is if you want to do an electronic presentation when you get to this house, okay? Because sometimes it's really impressive. You want to open your laptop and go, hey, I got this awesome program. We're going to talk about your home. You're always going to print that package of graphs because in case you get there and the Wi-Fi is not working and you don't want to have no presentation because they don't, you just can't get your computer to go. So what you can do is, always have that package to leave for them. But what you want to do is just open your computer, log on to Reality and say, in 2 seconds, I'm going to have the info on your home all up here and we're going to talk about it. So what you're going to do is go right into your search right away. Scroll down. We're going to find Mrs. Oddball. Boom. Search. All that info is now back up in your criteria box. Straight to your graphs. Here we go. This is all about your condo. So you can easily pull that info right back up because you saved that search. Okay.
What did you say about printing? You should print it.
Printing, you can print any style at all. Okay. So if you're using any style of the graph and you're going to print it, it will pick up this chart. Okay. So they don't have to be able to scroll over the piece of paper. They're going to see the numbers that coincide with each month. If you're exporting it to email, it won't pick up this chart. So when you're going to export it, you have to use the one that says line number. Okay.
Now, when you export it to email, does it export only the one chart?
Yes, it'll export. No, it'll export that one graph. Okay. And then the next one, you can export the next one. And like I said, she just picked them all up as attachments and put them in an email and sent it to the guy, and he called her up and gave her the listing. So.
And your recommendation, though, is to print everything that you look at that's relevant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Always leave them with a package. You want to leave them with something that has a nice package, all the graphs in it, your business card. Get used to doing a solid seller package, so that when you're gone, they're going to open it and they're going to show their family, their friends, pull them out. Wow, look at this guy gave us. Wow, he really knows how to sell my condo. And that's what you want.
And Esther, in the search, if you go back to the search for a moment, if you go back to the search box, there's all those names, right? So if you go down to the bottom where you save them, is there a way to delete those more than one at a time? Like, can you delete multiple?
No, you'd have to just click on it and delete. Okay. And then click on it and delete. Yeah, I always say that because I always stack them up because I do so many of them.
What does set as default mean? That's new. I've never seen that before.
Where are you seeing that?
I've never noticed it anyway.
Oh, so that would mean every time you open your computer, that info was going to come up, which you don't really want. That's for if you're doing, say, generally, this is in every program. So a lot of brokers do the same thing every day. So they would set it as a default. If I'm looking at, the sales in Timbuktu of all my agents, and they want to save that as a search and set it every day that I open my computer, that's the first thing I want to see. But when you're doing, searches for seller presentations, you want to don't set it as a default, or every time you open your computer, you'll be seeing the info for Mrs. Oddball.
At the same time, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm going to do a presentation on your condo, before I come, I can set that as
you can,
default.
Absolutely. But it's just as easy to, like I said, pop open the search, go in, and just click search. You know what I mean? Okay. But you can certainly set it as a default.
And what's the way to take the default off once you set it as a
You would have to just clear it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you see the search here, just click and delete it. Okay.
Hello to Center Swing Line. Hello to Center Swing Line.
Okay.
Esther,
I just want that person who's on the phone to maybe take their mic off or something so that I'm not recording their phone conversation. Okay, sorry, who's asking?
Yeah, it's Nancy. Is there any opportunity to customize the graphs where you can maybe put some arrows and
There
comments?
isn't, only if you have like a Snagit tool, you know what I mean? I have a Snagit tool on my desktop where I can snag that graph and put it on a, Word document, and then I can put information and things on it, but not within the program. Yeah.
So it's called Snagit?
Yeah, it's a Snagit. It's called Snagit, the one that we have, and it basically allows you to kind of, so I have a print screen thing, and I do this. So I can actually just snag this graph, put it onto a Word document, and then I can put my little arrows and things in on the document, and yeah.
Got it.
Okay. And Nancy, Lisa, you had asked about whether I covered Google. Today's just filters and graphs. Our next week, I'm going to do Perfect Area and Google, I believe. I think I said Google and marketing or something. So we're kind of just doing a couple of icons every session. And because there's so many plats, every other week, 50 get invited, and I do the same training session. So if you didn't make it, this coming Tuesday and you were invited, the following, or Thursday, I do them pretty much Thursday at 3 o'clock because it seems most people can attend. So if you missed the one that you got invited to, say next Thursday, you could, email me and say, okay, can you invite me to next Thursdays because I missed that one. But I also, because I'm recording them, I'm able to send them out. Okay. So I'll send out.
Are they anywhere on the site where you could go
No.
and look at,
No, what I'm going to do is email them out to everybody, and it's basically just a link that says, the filters and graphs, plat training link. So if you want to review it, you can watch it. But there's also video training right on your program, and it's similar. You know what I mean? I did the videos for the training.
Yeah.
So you could just watch the one on filters and the one on graphs. So it's there or this one. Okay?
Esther?
Yes?
Esther, have you, are you saying that every week there's going to be a new invite?
Absolutely.
So the invite for this week is not relevant to next week?
So next Thursday and the following Thursday, I'll be doing, I believe I said Google and marketing, because they kind of go hand in hand. Okay?
Okay.
And now a lot of you guys don't have the new version with the Google and the Perfect Area. So if you're going to attend that session, you're going to learn about it. But you'll have that opportunity anytime if you want to upgrade to this new V18 version. You can let me know. Okay. So I think we're going to end it here because my clock is about to run out. Thank you all for attending. And I'm going to try and get this email link out to you guys so that you can all take a look at it if you need to review.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too.